There's a common misunderstanding that the most valuable human resource is time. But the deeper truth is this: it's the focus. Time keeps passing, but focus is what makes things happen. When we give our full attention to one task, even for a brief moment, we can make a greater impact than hours of scattered, distracted work. On the other hand, when the mind is pulled in every direction, no amount of time is enough to produce results. Today's world is full of movement and instability. The economy fluctuates. Technology changes constantly. Crises strike without warning, as if the ground beneath us is always shifting. In that context, maintaining focus and calm isn't just a skill. It's proof of steadiness, of the ability to see beyond the noise and stay on course in the middle of the storm. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." We can't control what happens around us, but we can fully control how we respond and where we place our attention. This video will give you 8 strategies to stay calm and focused in chaos. Because in chaos, clarity is what truly matters. But before we begin, do one simple yet powerful thing. Write in the comments below, "I control my mind." When you write it down, you're not just saying it, you're starting to live it. Number 1. Embrace emotional agility. A resilient leader is someone who understands that moment and knows when to pause. They don't suppress anger or hide insecurity. They face these feelings, acknowledge them, and then set them aside to do the right thing. This is emotional agility, a skill that keeps you steady and helps your team maintain trust and stability. Have you ever wondered why someone's silence and calm presence can command respect, even cause anxiety? In a room full of chaos, the person who remains composed silently sends a strong message of self-assurance. I know who I am, and nothing out there can shake me. The philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." What happens to you doesn't define who you are. How you respond is what paints the picture of your character. Every time your emotions try to pull you away from yourself, remember you have the power to choose your reaction. That choice is what separates those controlled by emotion from those who know how to control it. To do this, you need to practice self-awareness every day. Don't wait until emotional waves rise to suddenly ask yourself, "How am I feeling?" Start writing. Every night, before bed, sit down and record what you felt during the day. When did you feel angry and why? What did you regret? And what reaction made you proud of yourself? Your words will become a mirror reflecting your mind. The more you write, the more you'll realize most impulses are unconscious reactions. And a leader cannot afford to act on instinct without reason. Once, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, shared a moment when he realized the power of pausing. During a large meeting, a team member strongly challenged one of his proposals. All eyes turned to Satya, waiting for his reaction. He felt his heart race, discomfort rising. But instead of responding right away, he took a deep breath and paused for a few seconds. That silent pause calmed the entire room. Then he asked gently, "Can you clarify the point you're most concerned about?" Instead of arguing, he chose to dig deeper. The result: the team discovered a critical flaw in the plan, avoiding a major failure. But don't think silence is just a strategy. It's a mindset. It shows you're not caught in someone else's emotional trap. Disrespectful people often provoke you because they want you to react and lower yourself. When you don't respond, they're left feeling empty and insecure. On the other hand, your composure reminds them that control isn't in their hands. Remember, emotional agility doesn't mean perfection. Sometimes you'll fail. Sometimes you'll say things you shouldn't. What matters is that you notice, learn, and do better tomorrow. No leader is strong because they've never made mistakes. They are strong because they admit them and keep moving forward. In the next part, I'll share something that seems simple, but is the foundation for maintaining emotional balance and focus, prioritizing both mental and physical health. It's not just about eating well or exercising. It's about the art of creating space for your mind to recover, the place where every important decision truly begins. Have you ever asked yourself what happens when your mind is exhausted, but you're forced to make decisions anyway? We'll explore that next. Number 2, prioritize mental and physical well-being. In times of chaos, people often rush to find external solutions, forgetting that the root of focus and emotional control lies in mental and physical health. A leader, no matter how talented, will become impulsive and lost if their mind is unsettled and their body exhausted. Stoic philosophy does not teach us to chase after circumstances, but to master ourselves in any situation. This begins with prioritizing self-care as a solid foundation. Seneca once wrote, "A man's as miserable as he thinks he is." This is a warning. Suffering does not come from the outside world, but from inner perception. That perception is directly influenced by one's mental and physical state. If you are constantly tired, sleep-deprived, and eat irregularly, your body will send negative signals to your mind. At that point, even small pressures can balloon into overwhelming fears. On the other hand, when the body is strong and the mind is consistently nurtured, you will see that even the harshest challenges are opportunities to practice calm and resilience. But how do you reach that state amidst countless worries? The answer doesn't come from complexity, but from discipline in simple things. A quiet morning routine where you spend 15 minutes meditating, breathing deeply, and writing a few lines of gratitude in a journal is the anchor that keeps your mind from drifting. Don't underestimate the power of small rituals. They create stability and remind you that you can control today, no matter how chaotic the world is. In addition, learn to set boundaries. A person who can maintain distance is someone who understands the value of silence. Work should not consume your entire life. Don't check emails after work hours. Don't let unimportant demands drain your mind. When you refuse things that don't serve your peace, it's not selfishness. It's a quiet but powerful declaration of self-respect. God did not create humans to endlessly chase the machine of work, but to live fully, mindfully, and responsibly toward themselves. If at times you feel overwhelmed, don't try to bear it alone. Even the strongest souls need support. Marcus Aurelius often consulted teachers and trusted friends. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, lived through an era full of upheaval, war, plagues, and constant political schemes. The weight on his shoulders wasn't just the survival of the empire, but his duty to history. Instead of being consumed by anxiety, he chose to converse with himself through his writings in meditations. On long nights after tense meetings or when the camps were filled with unrest, he would sit down and write. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This wasn't just a reminder, it was a method to maintain clarity. He regularly meditated, wrote out his tangled thoughts, and unraveled them with reason. This repeated act forged his mind like steel, calm, steady, and clear. So when facing storms, his eyes said only one thing: I am ready. In the end, all efforts to control emotion and maintain focus begin with treating yourself kindly. It's not indulgence, it's responsibility. When your body is strong, your mind is calm, and you can look up and know there's a higher power watching over you. All the pressures out there become small waves crashing against a solid wall. And you, like a true Stoic, will stand there calmly, with a silent but weighty gaze. I will not be subdued. Number 3, foster a culture of trust and collaboration. In moments of instability, when uncertainty looms, all eyes in the team will turn to you. They don't just look to you for solutions, they look for calm, steadiness, and the confidence that things will be okay. That's when a culture built on trust and collaboration is no longer a nice slogan, but the foundation that keeps the team from drifting off course. To build that culture, a leader must understand that transparency is not a weakness, but a form of strength. When you share everything openly, even bad news, you send a quiet but powerful message of self-respect and accountability. The truth might make people uncomfortable for a moment, but ambiguity makes them anxious in the long run. Simon, a young CEO I once knew, went through a major financial crisis with his company. Instead of hiding the plummeting numbers, he stood in front of the entire team and said, I don't have the answer right now, but I have all of you, and I trust our collective effort. That transparency and trust helped the team come together to find a solution and turn danger into opportunity. Simon understood one thing: a leader's greatest strength is not always having the answer, but never hiding the question. There's a quote from Epictetus that I always remember. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. It doesn't matter what hits you, uncertainty, failure, or pressure. What really matters is how you respond. When you respond with transparency and invite collaboration, you plant the seeds of trust. And when those seeds grow, they form a sturdy forest where people find peace, even in the storm. The next step is encouraging contribution. The most dangerous thing in any organization is silence born from fear of being wrong. When you listen to small voices, You not only solve problems better, but also empower each person to feel that they matter. It's like how God invites humans to join his work, not because he needs help, but because people need to find their value in collaboration. When every member feels their voice carries weight, they will work with the mindset of an owner, not just an employee. Finally, don't forget to celebrate victories, no matter how small. After the crisis, when Simon and his team landed just a small contract, he stood up in the meeting and applauded first. The entire room stood with him. It wasn't just a celebration, it was a reminder. We are moving forward. In that moment, everyone felt they belonged to something bigger than themselves. They weren't just working for a paycheck, but for pride and honor. A culture of trust and collaboration doesn't happen by chance. It's built from transparency, listening, and small but sincere moments of celebration. Just as God created man from dust, but breathed life into him, we too have the responsibility to breathe trust and hope into our teams. If you are leading a team, or simply want to be a reliable companion in any group, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a moment where silence, transparency, or a small celebration changed everything? I want to hear your story. Number 4, focus on what you can control. There's a truth we all eventually have to accept. The world is full of change, and uncertainty is always present. You can't control the rain outside the window, the judgmental looks from others, or the fluctuations of the market. But you can control how you respond. The difference between a calm mind and a panicked one lies in knowing where to focus on what you can control. In an important meeting, people often get caught up in the boss's gaze, the critical eyes of colleagues, or harsh comments from partners. But imagine someone sitting upright, hands resting lightly on the table, eyes calm, neither avoiding nor confronting. They don't over-explain, don't seek validation. They focus on one thing only: solving the problem in the best way they can control. That silence isn't weakness. It's a quiet but powerful declaration of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you stop and truly absorb this, you'll see that most of your anxiety comes from trying to hold on to things beyond your control. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do right now to take one small step forward? That simple question pulls you out of the spiral of anxiety and grounds you. A classic example is Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany. During economic crises or the migration crisis, she never let emotion take over in front of the press. She sat upright, spoke calmly, and kept repeating the few things she and her government could do. Public criticism was loud and harsh, but she never got pulled into it. She spent her energy preparing backup plans, constantly working with her team to adjust strategies. She knew complaining or worrying about others' reactions solved nothing. She focused on what she could control. That calmness earned her respect and credibility. Likewise, you need to learn to adjust your perspective. Practicing gratitude helps you realize you already have valuable things: health, opportunities, and supporters around you. Once you see that, your mind stops wasting energy on meaningless distractions. From there, you can proactively adapt, anticipate challenges, and prepare backup plans, not out of fear, but to move forward with confidence. Before we move on to the next tip, can I ask you for a small favor? If you're enjoying what you've learned, and maybe even smiling right now, hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe as well. Why? Because when you like and subscribe, you're telling YouTube this content is worth sharing, and that helps spread these positive messages to more people who might need a little lift, just like you. So let's spread that positivity and make sure more people can join us on this journey of self-improvement and growth. Now, let's move on to the next key point: how to keep learning and adapting, a crucial factor in staying calm and focused in any situation. Number 5, continuously learn and adapt. Emotional control and the ability to maintain focus are not just about staying calm in the face of challenges. They are reflected in a continuous attitude of learning and adaptation. In Stoic philosophy, the ability to proactively change yourself before circumstances force you to is the deepest expression of self-discipline and dignity. The world is constantly changing. What was right yesterday may be outdated today. The only thing we can hold on to is the willingness to learn and adapt. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacle in front of you is the path you need to take. When facing challenges, you can complain, or you can quietly observe, learn, adjust, and move forward. Obstacles are not walls. They are maps sent by God to guide you. What blocks your way does not appear to defeat you, but to train your ability to learn and change. Reed Hastings, founder and CEO of Netflix, is a prime example of continuous learning and adaptation. Netflix started as a DVD rental company by mail, a seemingly stable and profitable model. But Hastings did not let comfort blind him. When he saw the rise of high-speed internet and the shift in consumer entertainment habits, he didn't cling to the old model. Instead, he boldly transformed Netflix into a streaming service, a move many considered reckless at the time. He didn't stop there. Hastings asked himself, if we are just a distribution platform, can we remain competitive? He listened to user behavior data, studied market preferences, and decided to invest in original content production. The success of shows like House of Cards not only proved the strategy right, but also demonstrated the willingness to step out of comfort zones, experiment, and learn continuously. Reed Hastings understood that only proactive, intelligent adaptation sustains focus and lasting relevance. This story poses a question. Are you still living by an outdated model just because it once worked? Or are you brave enough to face the truth, identify what's obsolete, and change? Sometimes, clinging to what's familiar isn't focus, it's stubborn stagnation. True focus is the clarity to adapt continuously without losing your core values. Stoic philosophy teaches that the only thing we truly control is our mind and reactions. But God gives us more: the daily opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow through difficulties. When you encounter a barrier, instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What does God want me to learn from this challenge?" That question will completely change how you see problems. Learning and adapting are not signs of weakness or aimlessness. They are acts of courage to stand still when needed, move when required, and accept risks to become a better version of yourself. The more willing you are to update, observe, and experiment, the more you master your emotions and maintain focus in unpredictable circumstances. In that quiet confidence, you don't need to say much. Your actions and attitudes speak loud enough. Number 6. Lead with empathy and compassion. Leadership is not just about setting a direction and telling people to follow. Sometimes, leadership means stopping to look directly into the eyes of those walking alongside you and realizing that they too can feel tired, confused, and need a reassuring hand rather than an order. That's when empathy and compassion become the quiet but enduring strength of a true leader. Have you ever noticed, when you step into a meeting room, how the atmosphere can be so tense that you can almost feel it? Employees avoid your gaze. Long-time colleagues tap their fingers nervously on the table. What are they afraid of? Not of you, but of disappointment, of not being good enough. In moments like that, a slight nod, a warm look, or a simple question like, "What's been worrying you?" can break down the invisible wall. Remember the story of Howard Schultz, the founder who turned Starbucks into a global brand. In 2008, when the global financial crisis caused Starbucks to spiral downward, thousands of stores closed, employee morale dropped, and shareholders applied immense pressure. Schultz returned as CEO after some time away and faced a team full of anxiety, disappointment, and fear. In his first days back, he didn't call an emergency meeting to reprimand or assign blame. Instead, he visited stores, spoke directly with employees, asked them what they feared most, what they wished could improve, and listened without interrupting. In those conversations, many employees cried because, for the first time, they felt their worries were not dismissed. Schultz understood that empathy did not weaken his decisions. It made tough decisions easier to accept because people knew they came from a place of listening and understanding. When he decided to close hundreds of stores and cut many positions, those who left did not hold resentment. They thanked him for speaking to them as people, not just numbers. And the rest of the Starbucks team felt they were following a leader who cared not just about profit, but about people. From that empathy, Starbucks was reborn, stronger and more human. Empathy is not weakness. It is the height of emotional intelligence, the art of staying calm when others lose their composure. When you listen not to respond, but to understand, you give the other person a sense of safety. When they feel safe, they stop resisting. Without resistance, conflicts fade quietly. But listening alone is not enough. A compassionate leader is someone who extends a hand before others collapse. Imagine someone on your team becoming unusually quiet, falling behind on work. Instead of just asking, "Is something wrong?" a thoughtful leader would say, "I've noticed you've been quieter lately. I want you to know I'm here if you need support." That's not just checking a box. It's opening a door for the other person to step through, bringing their worries with them and finding support. Above all, leadership is about setting an example. You can't expect others to stay calm if you are quick to anger. You can't ask for understanding if you never stop to notice when others are exhausted. Every time you stay silent instead of reacting, every time you ask gently instead of imposing, every time you respect someone's weakness, you're teaching through action, not words. That's when true leadership forms. But how do you maintain empathy and compassion while carrying the weight of results, responsibilities, and expectations? How do you avoid getting caught in others' emotions and losing your own focus? That's when you need to return to yourself, reflect, and regularly recenter. In the next part, I'll show you how short pauses and moments of self-dialogue can become your secret weapon to stay balanced in any situation. Are you ready to explore? Number 7. Reflect and refocus regularly. People often think that controlling emotions and maintaining focus is a fixed state. It's not. It's a continuous cycle. Act, observe, reflect, adjust. Like an archer, no one simply draws the bow once and always hits the target. They shoot, observe, adjust their stance, breath, and aim. Life is the same. If you don't regularly pause to reflect and reorient, you're letting yourself drift on autopilot. I want to tell you about Marcus Aurelius, not as some distant emperor, but as a person with inner struggles like ours. He wrote meditations not to teach anyone, but to remind himself. On long, cold nights in the battlefield, in the uncertainty of empire and whispers behind his back, Marcus took the time to write questions to himself. Have I been kind today? Did I let anger carry me away? What is worth caring about, and what should I let go? Asking himself these questions consistently, patiently, is what made him a model of calm and focus. Do you do that? At the end of the day, do you ever sit down, with no phone, no noise, just you facing yourself, and ask, what did I do right today? What could I have done better? Or do you keep getting swept up in busyness, letting small missteps slowly pull you further from your goals? Self-reflection is not just about looking back, it's about looking deeper. Sometimes, lack of emotional control doesn't come from big events, but from a series of small reactions you don't notice or correct in time. You snap over trivial things and blame the circumstances, but really, it's because you haven't stepped back to see yourself clearly. Your focus fractures not from lack of willpower, but because you've let yourself scatter for too long without calling yourself back. I once met a businesswoman named Hannah, who built her own company after many failures. She once told me, I thought I was strong. But then came a period when I kept feeling lost and distracted. Not because I wasn't trying, but because I wouldn't stop to check where I was headed. I worked like crazy without realizing when my goals had changed. Hannah began scheduling weekly check-ins with herself. She asked herself 3 questions. What's working? What's not? What needs adjusting? She wrote it down, honestly, and tweaked small habits. 3 months later, she told me, I got back that feeling of having my hands on the wheel. Not because she knew everything, but because she was willing to pause, look, and correct. And don't forget, reflection is only complete when it comes with gratitude. If, when you look back, you only focus on mistakes, you'll burn out fast. But if you also notice the things you did well, however small, you'll keep your balance and self-respect. That's what Stoicism aims for: knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and becoming stronger one step at a time. Try starting today. At the end of the day, spend 10 minutes sitting still and ask yourself the important questions. Don't chase perfect answers. Just be honest. And tomorrow, begin from what you discovered today. Controlling emotions and staying focused isn't a sprint. It's a journey. Regular reflection will be the compass that keeps you on course. If you've ever had a moment where you had to pause, reflect, and adjust, or if you found how silence and reflection helped you stand firm, share that story in the comments. I'd like to hear your journey. Number 8, leading with clarity amid uncertainty. What will you do when standing in front of a room full of people staring at you, waiting for an answer, while you yourself are unsure what will happen next? In that moment, when uncertainty tightens its grip on your mind and every gaze seems to want to see you falter, will you react impulsively or stay silent? Will you make a rash decision or choose to take a deep breath, meet their eyes with calm, and remind yourself, you're not here to give in to fear, but to lead? Leading in uncertainty is not about seeking absolute certainty. The truth is, none of us are given a perfect map to navigate through storms. But God doesn't hand us easy days. He gives us strength to face challenges and grow through them. Here, Stoicism teaches an important lesson. The only thing we control is how we respond. And the best response is to keep clarity in your mind when everything around you is unclear. Think of Abraham Lincoln during the U.S. Civil War. When the country was divided, every word he spoke was scrutinized, every decision challenged from all sides. Lincoln sat through tense meetings where the silence was almost unbearable, but he didn't rush to speak. He listened, observed, and when he finally spoke, his words were quiet, but powerful statements of conviction, dignity, and clear purpose. He didn't seek perfection, he sought integrity, and he did that by remaining calm and leading with clarity in chaos. So why does a silent gaze or a pause before speaking matter so much? Because while others get swept up in panic, you quietly send the message, I am not controlled by circumstances. I am in control of myself. The disrespectful often seek a reaction to assert temporary power. When they don't get one, they're forced to confront their own insecurity. In that calm silence, you preserve your dignity and create space for clarity to emerge. But let's be honest, staying calm is not just a technique. It's the result of inner discipline, of daily conversations with yourself and with God. You ask yourself, is this really important enough to lose my peace over? The answer, most of the time, is no. By staying calm, you can see solutions that you would miss in moments of haste. Every challenge you face, uncertainty at work, conflicts in the family or major decisions is a test that God gives you. Not so you'll fall, but so you'll learn to stand stronger. Stoicism doesn't deny emotions. It teaches you to put them in the right place, to acknowledge, understand, and not be ruled by them. Leadership isn't about winning every argument. It's about helping others see hope even when they're unsure what to believe. It's a combination of inner faith, integrity, and commitment to something larger than yourself. You don't know what tomorrow will bring, but you can choose how you move today. Calmly, clearly, and steady. Remember, even when everything around you becomes blurry, the clarity within you will be the light. That clarity doesn't come from temporary wisdom, but from the daily choice to trust, to be resilient, to look deep within, and to have conversations with God to find the answers. That's how you lead, not with noise, but with a quiet, steady presence that carries weight. We've just gone through a core truth of life together. Mastering your emotions and maintaining focus aren't innate gifts, they're skills you train. Timely silence, a calm gaze, and a subtle nod are sometimes the strongest silent statements of your self-respect and strength. When you understand that not every situation requires a reaction, you start to gain real control. Now, I want to ask you, in stressful situations, how do you usually react? A. Argue to assert yourself. B. Stay silent but feel hurt inside. C. Stay silent and observe to understand the situation. D. Walk away and avoid confrontation. Pick one answer and leave a comment. I'll read and respond. If you find this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can train a stronger mind together every day. Don't forget to watch the next video on the screen, where I'll share more about how to face judgment with the calm of a Stoic.